Well, it's Monday morning and we're going to get this 9560 into CAS equipment. Hopefully it unloads fairly easy. In other words, hopefully it unloads a lot easier than what it took to get it on there. So if you didn't follow along in the last video, the connecting rod broke and it come right out through the side of the engine here. We'll kind of show you it quick. We've got a hole right in the side of the block, and then what you're looking at there through that green hole is the actual crank itself. So that's not good. We did have a reman engine put in this tractor back in August, and this is all on warranty. So here is the connecting rod here, and here is some pieces of the block. So we'll get this into CAS, and then we're gonna go ahead and get back here quickly and start hauling manure. So we'll see how this adventure goes here. It's just before 7 a.m. They open up at 7:30 or so. We've got a little bit of a soft tire there, but she'll be all right. Well, we're up on Route 20 here right now. It's maybe, I don't know, 18, 19 miles away from here. We got to go down this hill here. I'm going a little slower than I need to be. This tractor's really not all that heavy. Maybe 56,000 or so, somewhere around there. So it's not a huge load in behind the truck. We're just over width, and we need to give the passing motorist a little time to think here. We're on the trailer a little cockeyed, and it's not the best situation, but it is what it is. So we've got Ben coming up around us here. He hauled manure for us the other day, and this is his truck. There he goes. He's got a Diller tank on a Paystar truck. He just went by us, and he's going to haul manure over to the east here. So you'll probably notice that my registration sticker is expired, out of date. Don't worry, I've got one right here. Here it is, the 2023 for this truck. Our agricultural plates expire in November, and it's a real pain to deal with the sticker because you're always dealing with a cold window. So I try to put them on when I know I'm going to be using the truck, and sometimes that gets neglected for days on end. When the sticker comes in the mail, you got a whole pile of them. It's not really the warmest weather to just run around and take an hour or so to put stickers on. So we sometimes are a year late getting our sticker installed. So we'll catch up with you once we get over to CAS and get this thing unloaded. So if any of you have traveled this stretch of Route 20 in central New York here, it is all hills. It's up and down hills. We just went down a hill, now we're climbing back up a hill. Then we'll go a ways, and then we'll come down another bit of a hill, and then we got to climb another one. So the tractor's still back there. We got wheels and tires in both mirrors. They were working on, they were set up to do something on Route 20 where they replaced that bridge down in Cardiff. They had cones set up all the way down through the middle of the road. I had 3 get caught underneath the tractor. I had to stop twice and dig cones out from underneath the tires. For the most part, I was able to miss a majority of them, but there was a truck parked on one spot. I had to go around that. I got into the cones a little bit. And then there was a sign, like a men working sign. They had a couple of sandbags on it. I got into those cones there too. So I had about 20 cars behind me. These guys weren't too happy about that. The cars weren't. The workers were fine with it, but yeah. So hopefully we don't have any other spots where they're working on the road, or we're not going to be able to get through. Well, we are all done climbing hills. We're coming down the last hill here. Just climbed a pretty good sized one, and then we're coming down into the village of Cazenovia. This is Cazenovia Lake here, up to our left, and we'll be going through the village of Cazenovia here in a minute. Nice, quiet, calm lake. Got quite a few ducks out there. Or geese. That's geese. Right? Geese, ducks, yeah. Well, I better put the camera away. We've got to go through this town, and it might be a little tight. Looks like we are wide open through the village here. Even if there was cars parked on both sides, it's a wide enough lane of traffic here to wide enough roadway to get through here. Anyway, so get by my left side. Taking up both lanes here. I need to kind of protect myself a little bit here. So we'll get pulled in here. I'm not sure if they're going to want to put this inside or if they want to unload this out in the dooryard here. So we'll get pulled in, get our flags removed, and get ready to get this unloaded. Jake right here. I texted him when I was in Pompey. Let's see what he wants to do with it here. I only dragged a few cones with me. They were working on Route 20 down where they're replacing that bridge.
Oh shit.
So,
I figured I got here early. I said, shit, Tim will be here early. He gonna want to go through town with this thing.
Tim's he had to have surgery on his elbow or something. He hasn't worked for 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you want to do with it? You want to go inside or do you want to...
Well, I think the best thing, I don't know if you could do it or not, face the front of the truck towards that door so we could, because I want to pull it in backwards so I can get it backed into a bay so I can use some overhead.
All right.
But I don't know if you got enough room to swing around.
Well, I could go down through there, right, and come up through that lane.
If you could go around, come down through the middle lane here, and then
okay.
just look that way.
All right. Okay. I passed your guy on 20. I passed your tractor trailer on 20.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he had a lawnmower on. Alright, so they're going to take this right inside and put it like that, so Alright, we've got that safely unloaded. They're going to hook up some hoses to the steering so that they can wiggle it inside. And we're going to get back and haul some manure. to the Hudson farm. This is the farm that we were moving to on Saturday when the engine went into 9560. We were 3-4 miles that way. We moved a frac tank in from this direction. Nate went home that direction with the 9560 because that needed an oil change, and as you can see, it didn't make it there. It has about 300 hours on the engine that's in it. We changed the oil the first time around at 100 hours, and it was floating right around that 250 hour interval that we like to change oil at. I know some of you have asked, you know, where is Tim? Tim had his elbow operated on and he is currently out of commission. I'm trying to keep this trailer clean for him for when he gets back. Last week I went and picked it up from Allied Spring. They had put a new spring pack in on each side, and as you can see, I have not overflowed any manure yet. So I want to keep it that way so that when he comes back to work, he still has a clean trailer to use. Now you might be wondering, why are you spreading manure and why aren't you just putting it in the lagoon? Well, we don't want to put any manure in the lagoon if we don't have to. We want to be able to save that storage space for when it gets a snowing. Today is Friday. We've hauled all week except for yesterday. We hauled the tractor into Kaz Equipment here on Monday, and then of course I didn't film anything up until now. Trailer is empty and we need to get out onto the road here. So ironically enough, we had plans of putting a satellite manure storage in over here on this farm. We are on Lyons Road right now, and we're pulling out onto Monroe Road. The current owners, or the previous owners, not the current owners, we own it. The previous owners, when they had the farm, they had milked cows, and well, the last time they milked any cows was the late 80s. And they had the dairy right there where we were filling the frac tank. They had chickens on this other side of the road, and on this other side of the road to our left here, where the grain bins and whatever are, that was their grain operation. There's another, it's actually friends of ours that own the grain bins, and I have talked about that before. They bought the grain bins from the previous owner. There was an owner in between us and the previous farmer, and friends of ours bought the grain bins before we bought the farm, and it just did not make sense for them to move the grain bins, and the previous owner told them that, you know, hey, you can leave the bins right here, just rent the ground from me, and they agreed to do that, and we let them do the same thing. So, like I was saying earlier, we had plans of putting a satellite manure storage in over here on this farm. However, the residents in this area made it absolutely difficult for us to do that, and they just created a lot of red tape, and we had to abandon the project here in September. We have more or less just postponed our plans of putting a manure storage in, and we're going to pursue that here in the spring of 2023. There is a website called Stop the Dung Factory. You guys need to go over and look at that website, and they also have a YouTube channel. They only have one video, but they have a YouTube channel, and it's kind of silly, really. I find a lot of humor in all of the concerns that they have. I do understand that not everybody wants to have a lagoon, manure lagoon, put in their backyard. However, it's no different than what we're doing right now, really. I mean, they're never even going to see this manure lagoon. However, they think that it's going to be such a horrific thing. So like I was saying, for a good laugh, go over to that website, Stop the Dung Factory, and just read through all their propaganda. It is really silly. They also have a video up on a YouTube channel called Stop the Dung Factory as well. Now, do not leave any hateful comments or anything. Just laugh at it and leave it be what it is. Just, you know, leave them alone. I beg you to not leave any negative comments on their, I don't think you can leave comments on their website, but you can, I think, on their video that they have. If you want to leave a bad comment towards their video, leave it here, not there. Please don't do that. If you have any hate towards me, go ahead and leave it in my comment. I don't care. Or you can email me with your concerns at farmingfixingandfabricating@gmail.com. You would not believe the silliness that they have, and just it is outrageous. As far as I'm just going to call it silliness that they have towards these manure lagoons. These manure lagoons are all over the place. People don't even know that they're there. I had a conversation with a guy yesterday, and they were concerned when we were applying manure to our hay fields. This summer was the first time we had ever put manure on hay fields, on hay ground that was still in production. In other words, we planned on cutting it and chopping it the next cutting. Jared went in and applied manure just after we cut it. He only put it on there for a couple of days, and then he moved on and put it on other ground. In their little storytelling, whatever, they said that, you know, we should not be putting manure on ground that, or on our crops that the cows are going to eat, and how bad that is. Well, yeah, it is bad and it isn't. If you put it on the hay ground just when the hay is, you know, real short, the hay is going to grow up through it. You're going to get rain, whatever, and you're never going to have, if you put it on light enough, you're never going to have any residual manure left over anyways. It's going to be absorbed into the ground, the plant's going to take it up, and so on and so forth. There are lots of farmers that put manure on a cutting. After they take a cutting off, they'll apply manure just for a short few days after they've harvested the hay off after it was cut. After you get too much growth, you don't want to be out into that crop applying manure. There is also special equipment that they now have for applying manure on standing hay that's a little taller, and it is they call it dribble bars, and what there is small hoses that come off of a big application bar on the back of the tanker spreader, and these tubes lay down on the ground, and the idea is to push the manure through those hoses and get it down on the ground, get it in between the standing plants so that you don't get any manure up on the plant itself. That has worked out really well for guys that end up doing that. Again, it's a little silly, the things they're coming up with. I understand some of their concerns, but the silliness is just, it's comical at best. Now, you'll happen to notice that we still have the silage pipes on the 900. We usually, once we get the hauling manure, we put the manure pipes back on, which is just the mufflers. Jared likes to put the silage pipes on there. The 8-inch straight stacks, he likes to put them on there when we chop hay or corn, and usually we have them switched out by now when we start hauling manure, because when we leave the farm, it is quite a bit louder than when we're hauling silage, just for jake breaking and whatever. We have got one neighbor that complains religiously every time he hears them pipes. He called me up the other day. You know, I knew the phone number and I could recognize his voice, and he just starts complaining right off the bat, and he says, I don't know why you can't fix that truck. Every time you use the jack brakes, it is loud. I can hear that damn thing for 2 miles away. I explained to him what and how it creates all that noise. It's the jake brake. It's not a jack brake. It's a jake brake, and it actually is necessary to use the jake brake to you know, take that much stress off of the regular brakes on the truck. Now, he is the only one that complains. It should be a situation where, because we get a lot of compliments from the sound of that truck, and I would have to guess that we have more people that like the sound of that truck compared to the people that don't like it. However, it seems like we're living in that type of world where when you get a small small group of people that complain about something, they seem to get things their way, opposed to the majority of the people that, you know, usually never complain about anything. So with that being said, we do need to get that those mufflers back on there. And yeah, I have tried to do this video segment here for quite a while. However, I keep getting phone calls. I just got another phone call now, but at any rate, it is what it is. Now, on the 9560, I did get a phone call from Jake here earlier today. Now, we unloaded the tractor on Monday. When we unloaded the tractor, we got it off in front of their shop doors. He got it away from the trailer, and then I hooked back up and I left there. he made up some hydraulic hoses to hook to the steering line so that they could pull it into their shop and steer it into position. The hydraulic hoses that he made up, he plugged them into the SCV on another tractor. They pulled it in with the forklift, their forklift, and then as they pulled it in, he kind of followed behind with the tractor that they had the steering hoses hooked into, and he steered it as they went. I wish I had stuck around to see that, but I didn't have time. I didn't want to be stressing him out. He had other things that he was working on at the same time. Now on Saturday, right when it happened, I told them called them up, told them what happened. Their parts guy started working on trying to get an engine, you know, get the ball rolling on getting an engine. I don't know if they got an answer Saturday or not, but they at least got the ball rolling. And I know for a fact on Monday afternoon, they had an answer for me, and it wasn't good. It was the earliest they could get an engine was like February 10th or something like that, which is not horrible because we don't plan on doing any tillage with that tractor until April. Now, it was a tricky situation when it happened. However, I'm glad it happened when it did than having it happen right in the middle of the spring or earlier on this fall when we were using it on the Terra disc, and you know, we got everybody's chopping corn and, you know, screwing around. It happened at about the best time that it could have happened. It would have been even worse if it would have happened at night, you know, 8, 9 o'clock at night, coming home with the damn thing on a chisel plow or something. So I know there is, you know, been a lot of comments on, you know, how poor the remanufactured engines are. There's a lot of them out there. Yes, there have been problems, but there's a lot of them out there. We have a reman engine in the older 624 payloader. We have a reman engine in the 7720 that got put in just this past spring. The 4450 has a reman in it. Doc, he ended up rebuilding the engine in the 4250s, both 4250s here early summer to mid-summer. We got both of them back. Now that's a different animal. They were rebuilt in his shop. Jared rebuilt the engine in the 4620 himself, and he rebuilt the engine in the 8320. Now we had some problems with the 8320, but at least we didn't spend a crank or have a rod come knocking through the side of the block. Now when we went to load that tractor, I know I had some comments on, oh, you should have did it this way, you should have did it that way, should have been pulling from one side opposed to the other. We were pulling from the center. The tractor had a little bit of a kink to it as far as it was turned just ever so slightly. The only way we could have altered that was to hook hydraulic hoses up to it and steer it the way Jake did. The other option we had was to crack the steering lines, but then it would have been all loose like, and it might have moved all over the place going up on the trailer. Then we've got even more oil that we're losing on the road and everything else. So we did it the way we did it. It ended up on the trailer a little cockeyed. It ended up probably being about 20 foot wide when I pulled it into Cas, but Route 20 is a big wide road. I went early on in the morning, there wasn't a lot of traffic, and we got it in there safely. Now, since then, they have got the engine out of the tractor. Jake just sent me a small video here, a short video here a little while ago, and I'll drop this in there now, and what you see is the back side of the engine, where the back side of the crank rather, where the flywheel bolts onto, and it ended up breaking all of the flywheel bolts. The engine must be locked up right now, and then when it come to its problems and locked up, you still had the transmission turning, and when it locked up, it just forced that flywheel, and it forced itself onto those bolts, and it just stripped all of those off. We had tried starting the tractor when we were going to get it up on the trailer, thinking that we could let it run for just a few seconds, 30 seconds or so, to get it up on the trailer and get it into place and then shut it off quick. We were not able to do that. They have been in talks with John Deere. They are talking to the main, I don't know what he is, territory rep, what have you. So they are working diligently on trying to get an engine to CAS so that they can get it in that tractor and get that tractor back to us. So we'll just have to kind of go from there and see how things go. So I am almost back to the farm here now. I think I can haul one more load before it gets too late here, and it's going to be, the sun is going to be going down here real quick. However, we are almost out of manure. So we'll have to see how things are once I get back to the barn. I don't know if I've got a text message here or not saying how much manure we've got. I don't. So we'll go ahead and load up another load here. So I've got the last load, and that is going to about do it for this video. And if you happen to notice, I do have my current registration sticker on the window. I put that on Monday. Like I had said earlier on in the video, we get them renewals in the mail, and then it is such a pain in the butt to screw you around and put all this stuff on the trucks, because usually it's a little cold out, and the only good time to put them on is when the window is warm, and you kind of need to be doing it as you're running the vehicle. So that's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you at the next one. Remember, do not leave any hateful comments bashing them people from the Dung Factory channel. We'll save that for another time, so don't leave any bad comments there, please. All right, take her easy. Catch you at the next one.